Hello, Dr. Bennett. I want to welcome you to my math toolbox that seems to keep growing. We can use calendars for predicting days, figuring out how many days there are in a week and in the month and in a year, and figuring out how many days there are left of school. Well, tomorrow we're going to be making a chocolate pudding pie, and we have crushed graham crackers and butter and a few other ingredients that we need to figure out because we're going to be probably tripling the recipe. So that's one way to use math at home. And then I have these blocks that can be put in different patterns. How many different patterns can you come up with these colors? And look at this big pile of screws. Can we put those in categories? And how many categories can you come up with? This is an adding machine that I thought would be fun for the kids to play with. They can add up receipts or play like a grocery store and add items. They could figure out tax and things like that. String is great for measuring, and then it could also be used for finding the distance or creating geometric shapes. A scale can be used to measure the weight of food items or other items. I thought these rocks would be fun to use for making up math problems. You know, if you have 6 rocks and someone else takes 2 of them, how many would you have left? And musical instruments could be so much fun too. These could be, kids could create a pattern with these rhythm sticks and see if their friends can hear it. I have some discs down here and they're put into groups. We can create groups. I was using food coloring, so how many groups of 3 do we have here? And how many do we have all together? And we could also create arrays with the different colored. They don't have to be different colored, but using these discs. Liquid measurement can be so much fun, especially if you color the water. And the kids can figure out how many ounces is this container, because I actually don't know how many ounces it is. They can use the measuring cups and they can use the different colored water for that. And how many cups are in a gallon? Many kids are getting their temperature taken lately. Measure that or keep track of it. They could make a chart of all the kids and what their temperature was and what the average temperature was. This is the clipboard with pencils so that kids could go around and measure things and keep track of what they've come up with, how far they can kick this ball. There's so many games that are fun. Yahtzee is one of them. I don't have that out. And the dice can be used for adding or multiplying, and the same can be done with the dominoes. Construction paper can be used to make shapes, and toothpicks can be used to make more shapes out of the shape. So this rectangle has been changed into 3 rectangles. Several triangles can be made, or a parallelogram. What can you make out of this triangle? We could convert this recipe so that it serves 12 people. Well, coins used to be something that people had around their house. We happen to have them, and they can be used to create, for counting actually, and they could be used to find all the different ways to make $1. How many pennies does it take to make $1? How many dimes, how many nickels, how many quarters? Sorting them and counting them. Another topic of conversation around this time of year is, how long does the turkey have to be in? How much does it weigh? What temperature does it have to be? And how long does it take for the the turkey to get to that temperature. Coins is to know how to make change. So if something costs 73 cents and you give them $1, how much change should you get back? Hi, Dr. Bennett. I want to share with you some things that I found around my house for teaching math. And one of them is playing cards. I know that's pretty common, but I liked the game my husband and I came up with for practicing base 10 and positional value, and playing a game to find the greatest amount. So we kind of made rules for the game where we said that the jokers can be any number. So of course you'll choose 9 for that. But and then I took all of the face cards out and the 10s, so it's not confusing. But what you do is you just go from left to right and put down your numbers, and the next person would do it, and then you compare which one is bigger. But they probably, of course you would start with just 2 digits. So we'd go through the steps, the stages of learning place value, and just the stages 1 through 5. I wanted to show you a closer look at the cards for learning base 10 and positional value. And I wanted you to see just that the cards can be used for also adding and subtracting. So the kids can, flip 2 cards and add them or multiply them. They can, and the way you can play this game is to maybe the best out of 5 numbers and add it up. That's the person who wins. And they could also practice rounding their numbers to the nearest 10s or the nearest hundreds. So there's all sorts of things you could do with playing cards. And I found these rocks at the beach and collected them because they were so similar. They were flat and round. And we could come up with a word problem with these. I could tell the kids that I've collected 15 rocks, and how many more would I need to collect so that I could have 20 rocks? What I do is put them into categories or classify the rocks, by shape or by color, and they could count them, they could measure them, and they could create their own. Could figure out the average size of the rocks. Okay. Hi, Dr. Bennett. It's amazing how many things you can find around your house. Went in there and I found all sorts of keys, and they come in different sizes and different colors and with different patterns. So the kids could find their attributes and describe their properties and sort them if they want, put them into groups, maybe by length or color. And then the other thing I found were screws, all different kinds. And the kids could do the same with that. They could separate or put them in categories by size or color. There's some unique ones in here, like this one. And this one has a hook on it, but it still has a screw. They could find what does not belong. This is not a screw, so that does not belong. And then they could also use seriation, where they put the screws in order by length. The longest ones in order. That. Just about everybody has paper in their home, and you can have the students fold it into all different sizes. They can learn about equal sizes. They might fold it in thirds and learn about how to label it, or they might fold it in fourths, or they could be even trickier and fold it into eighths, and just practice just that terminology and all the different ways that they can partition. Maybe on this one they could figure out how many triangles they could make out of this rectangle. And then also they could learn about the perimeter of a shape. They could learn about the area, They could learn about parallel lines and perpendicular lines and angles. And yes, this was in the garage. They could walk around the entire house and find all the right angles. There's so much. They could learn about obtuse and acute and right angles, and how many right angles can you find in this one room? How many do you estimate is in this room? You could teach them about symmetry and by using the paper, and they could learn to share and proportion things, and they can compare and order the fractions. Is 1/3 bigger than 1/4? If you have a piece of paper or a whiteboard or a chalkboard or anything that you could write on, wherever you are, you can play a game like this where the kids learn more about the numeration systems, and you could, take turns which ones you work on. You could work on learning the Mayan, the Babylonian, the Roman numerals, or the Egyptian symbols. I did not draw out the Egyptian symbols, but I decided to do the Roman numerals. And what's great about practicing with these is the kids learn how they work. So for instance, Roman numerals are the sum of the digits. So they have to add 5 + 1 + 1 + 1 to know that that's 8. Create secret codes, and they can write messages to their friends. I wrote one to you, Dr. Bennett. If you can handle these addition problems, then you'll figure out that this says happy, thanks, giving. Thank you so much.